So I wanted to do this video on something that's probably familiar with all of us, and that's fear of change. Now, fear of change has got many different ways that it will grab hold of us throughout life, and I'm sure most of us could probably identify in ourselves already what those areas are. And a prime example of that would be, fear of change, of changing your career, going to a job, if you like. You're going to stay where you are because it's comfortable, it's familiar, so you know that you can survive there. The ego knows you can survive in that environment and you'll thrive there. No one's going to laugh at you or judge you in that environment, so you kind of don't change. And really it just comes from a lack of self-belief and a lack of knowledge of the fact that the future has no bearing on who you are now. You will become whatever you want to become in the future, which doesn't exist. You will become whatever you want to become in that future once you start taking the steps to progress towards whatever it is you want to be. But that's also another part of the fear of change, is that we don't want to take those steps to kind of evolve. It's like we have this self-belief, this self-doubt, that goes through us. But why I wanted to get that onto the dark night of the soul, that whole concept of the fear of change, is because we are going through a massive transitional period from your conditioned and egoic self into a more essence of a being. You're getting in touch with your spiritual side, or you're getting in touch with the side of you that's unclouded. It hasn't had the blanket layer of social conditioning put on top of it, and therefore you're coming back to your real self. You're coming back to the true you. But that massive transitional period also has its whole weight of expectation. And what I mean by that is that the expectation of what's to come. You might be you might be waiting to see the person that you're going to be before you actually try and become that person. But like I said earlier, you will become that person as you slowly unravel. You won't suddenly become that person spontaneously and then you start your journey. You have to start the journey and then you will slowly become the person on the way. And the whole point that I'm saying that is the fear of change is going to keep us stuck, because ultimately we need to move from our egoic self and we need to move into that spiritual being. And it's the fear of who will I become when I'm that spiritual being can hold us back. I'm not saying that goes for everybody, but I know that was a thing with me, and I know for a lot of you that might be, if you look under the depths of what's going on, you might actually be fearing the person that it is you think you're going to become. I.e., you might be fearing the fact that you're going to spend more time alone. You might leave your relationship. Your career might start feeling like it's not for you. It doesn't suit you anymore. You might be scared of what people are going to think of you, the judgments they're going to make. Are you going to lose lifelong best friends? The answer to that is probably all of those things will happen and will change. But the difference, the reason why you don't need to fear that is because these things don't happen overnight. They happen on a slow progression of you slowly learning to accept and surrender to the dark night of the soul. That bird just put me off a little bit, but beautiful. But you learning how to surrender to the dark night of the soul. That's where the slow transformation takes place. So it's not a fact that you will be walking away from everything. You will slowly just start evolving into a new life. And if there's a part of you that is scared of making the wrong decisions when you become that more pure self, if you like, you don't need to fear the future in that way as such, because as you're unraveling, you'll become more in touch with your spiritual being. Your spiritual side has a lot more perception, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but has a lot more focus on synchronicities. It has a lot more focus on your gut instincts, your intuitions of what you want to do. So it will lead you down the path that you need to be on. Now, you might bounce around a little bit on that path, but ultimately, if you keep paying attention to your inner self, you will get to wherever it is that you think you want to go, which there is actually no end point, because you will constantly be out there striving and wanting to move forward. But the strong point behind that part is that as you're unraveling yourself on that journey, the universe will not take you somewhere where you don't want to go. It won't guide you to go somewhere that you're no good at. It won't guide you to somewhere that you can't have an impact. It will guide you, if you listen, this is if you really listen to your inner feelings, is what I mean by listen. Listen to those feelings, feel them, spend time alone, because you will know. It's far too easy for some of us sometimes that on the surface, we pay attention to surface feelings. But more than ever, when we're in Dark Night of the Soul, those surface feelings are getting mixed up with the matrix feelings and our new spiritual feelings, if you like. And that's why it's kind of dangerous to just rule out something that you might be telling yourself of, oh no, it's not that, I don't want to do that, I don't like that because of this. Have a look under the feelings. That's what time alone will do. It brings the real feelings up. And why I'm saying that is because if you pay attention to those feelings, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong, because that is the universe. That is the real you. That is the essence of you. Your gut feelings, your intuitions, the synchronicities that you'll see will guide you down the path that you need to go. And on the path that you need to go down, there's a few things that happen. And one that might give a lot of you comfort is there will be no toxicity down that path. There really won't be. There might be some hardships, but why it doesn't feel toxic to you anymore is because your perception of everything has changed. Your self-belief has changed. So now you don't need permission from people to go the direction that you'd like to go. And you don't need their permission because your self-belief is good. You start realizing that in life you don't particularly need anyone or anything. Excuse me. You'd like it and you'd welcome it, but because you don't need it, it gives you and it's not just a need, we can logically understand. A lot of us can logically understand the old saying of like, oh, don't be needy. We can logically grasp that. What happens when you start really indulging in the dark night of the soul and starting to trust yourself a bit, is you really actually start feeling that. So logically knowing it and actually feeling it are two different things. And the feeling of freedom that it brings to actually not be needy. Needy might not be a good word, guys, but you know what I'm saying with that. But to not be needy is the ultimate security. And it's through that security that you will now be feeling that you will listen more to the universe, more to your instincts, and take the path that you should be on. I've said it in a few videos, all of us are great at something, whether we know it or not. We just need to overcome that hurdle of the disbelief that we have in ourselves. And that's part of what goes back to my other videos, it's the fear of missing out and self-sabotaging, and one like I'm doing now, neediness. And these are all feelings and emotions that we've always felt. The difference is, I might have said this in the last video, the difference is now we become very sensitive to them. Which can be good and bad, actually. You can be quite sensitive to it, which means you'll pay a lot of attention to it, which can, sometimes that will sting a little bit. But also on the term of being more sensitive to stuff, you feel your feelings more, so you can be guided and led by them more. And the more you'll be led and guided by your feelings, the less hardships come your way. Now that sometimes we can paint a picture with that and it sounds like, oh, we're going to be really rich and going to be famous and have a big house, this, that and the other. That might happen to some of us, but for the majority of us, we won't really be caring too much about that. And you will start, if you're on the path that the universe is guiding you down, it will start also providing you with what it is that you need in order to get by and thrive on that particular path. So I think just on that, just digressing quickly, if there are some of you that are thinking, I want to indulge into my spiritual life because I want to be calm and relaxed and do things about it because then I want to earn lots of money from it and that's keeping you stuck. That's keeping you stuck in the loop, because that wanting the money, wanting the big house, wanting the relationship, nothing wrong with wanting it, but it's when that becomes our driving factor, that chasing after that and the comfort that we think that is going to provide, that's where we can falter and get stuck in the loop. Because we know, as we're coming out of the dark night of the soul, as we're settling into it and accepting, we start to learn that sometimes what brings us the most discomfort in life is actually the things that we're chasing after to provide the comfort. I.e., if you're chasing after a big house and you've got a job, that's keeping you, in effect, stuck to the grindstone of working at forever hours under the sun, in the belief that when you get that house, you're going to feel relaxed and happy. And that's what I'm saying. So that can sometimes be a tragedy to most of our lives, because most people are chasing that. That's the kind of materialistic dreams that they're chasing. But when you get to this kind of your higher state of consciousness, if you like, when you take yourself to that highest, or you unravel yourself into that higher state of consciousness, you see that for what it really is. You really do. And then when the chase of those things starts leaving you, it's very free. It's a very free world. I've got something crawling around in my ear. I don't know what's going on. That happened last time a fly went in. Maybe it's that fly coming out from the last video. It's found its way out, bless it. But yeah, guys, I think that's all I've got to say on that. You know, we have no real reason to fear the change in ourselves, because all the things that we would have done in the past, all mistakes we would have made or errors we might have done, were all made whilst chasing after something that we ultimately didn't want. And we're fearing the change of becoming the new person. But there is no, that's really not warranted, if you like, because the fear that you're feeling about the future person is the fear that you're feeling based off of the past. But the past was the ego, the future is your essence. And that's where the fear of the changing is justified, because it's understandable, because we've always had that feeling. But it's also not justified, because you will start to learn, you will start to develop yourself, you will start, that self-belief will start coming in. And once you start feeling those self-beliefs, and in order to feel a self-belief, sometimes, guys, you have to come away from comfort. So sometimes if you're sitting down and you're watching films, or you're, you know, eating a bit of junk food, this, that and the other, to distract yourself, that's the time when maybe we need to come away from that comfort and go into the discomfort, which is maybe just sit alone for a little while, go for a walk in nature and let those thoughts come up. Because like I say, in nature is where we will get the answer to most of these questions. And it's not that they suddenly appear out the trees or anything like that, guys. It's just that it comes up, the nothingness around you. There's no distractions here except beautiful sights. And we all know that beautiful sights, beautiful scenery, lovely bird sounds, whatever, they can make us stop in our tracks and enjoy things for that moment. And it's in those moments sometimes that we have those little pieces of clarity, or we have those little moments of everything's okay. Everything's okay. I'm just feeling shit at the minute. I'm just feeling depressed at the minute, because I'm leaving behind who I was and I'm venturing off into the person that I'm going to be. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hey, I'm having real trouble with my data, with my uploading of stuff and that. I have no idea what's going on. YouTube has stopped me from uploading videos. So if they're a bit hit and miss at the minute, bear with me. I am trying to sort all this out. Don't forget, the caravan doesn't have no Wi-Fi, don't have no broadband, I don't have electric there. So I always have to come out and walk, which is cool with me. I have to walk to these beautiful countrysides to get some reception to record. And now do whatever I've got to do. But anyway, guys, I love every one of you. Any questions, please just feel free to email them over. I will try and get back to all your comments and stuff like that as best I can. But obviously, as the channel grows, it's getting harder and harder to do so. So thank you very much for commenting, and thank you to the guys that answer other people's questions. We're kind of all in this together, and it's a wonderful community that I feel that we're all creating here. It's lovely. Guys, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Beautiful clear blue skies here in nature in North London or Hertfordshire. And now I think I might even go and have a cold pint of lemonade somewhere. How about that? Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you.